Hi there, a very good morning and good afternoon to all of you, depending on wherever you're watching this Simply Stocks. And this is another video from me after about 2 months of layoff, 6, 7 weeks. I'm back with a video, and hopefully this time around, inshallah, I'll be up with videos regularly. I won't say every day or something like that, but it would be up in here with regular videos. So today I'm going to discuss with you about the BSC small cap index. I'm going to discuss about how the Nifty is doing and what lies ahead till the elections. And I'm talking of the general elections till May. What I feel about the market and where it is headed. Plus, I will have a couple of stocks from a long-term point of view. Mostly now from here on in, I'm going to provide stocks from a long-term point of view that I believe can perform well, can sustain well. Again, disclaimers do apply. I'll go through the disclaimers, but these companies look good from a 3 to 5 years perspective in performing well over a period of time. So we'll discuss about that. So let's begin the video with the disclaimer, and then we'll move on. So before I go to the disclaimer, let me just give you an idea as to why I was not uh, up with videos or on YouTube for the last couple of months. There have been 2, 3 reasons for that, and we'll discuss one by one, and we'll come to the disclaimer once I begin with the session. So there are primarily three reasons as to why I was not online. One is the health concern. There have been health issues in my family across the board with my children and my wife and myself as well. Was down with viral and fever continuously for a few weeks. So that was one of the reasons. There have been issues, concerns in the family, and so that was one. A second is I have been watching the World Cup, so enthralled by what India is doing at the moment, the way they are competing, the way they are winning. They have won 7 on 7, and the way they beat Sri Lanka yesterday. A huge sports fan who watches a lot of sports, so whatever time I was getting in the layoff, I was going through the matches and enjoying what India has done so far. And so was also looking at the markets and thinking as to what how best I can benefit the viewers on YouTube, so that people get most from my knowledge over a period of time. So uh, going through the market and seeing the market over the last 8 weeks have given me a better idea as to how the markets behave in extremely uncertain times, as we have seen this time around with the war in Ukraine and Russia, and then the current calamity that is taking place in the Middle East, in Palestine and Israel. So what we are seeing at the moment is is something that is, you can say, a precursor to probably something big if something happens geopolitically. So all these three reasons told me that let's just wait it out. Let's just view things in perspective and then come on online and discuss about the markets as a whole. So let me just give you the disclaimers, etc., and then we'll move on with the video. So first of all, disclaimer that this is not a stock recommendation. People taking any position to any share that I talk about should do that with their own due diligence and research. And whatever I discuss here is purely on my, you can say this is all for educational purposes. Whatever I discuss on my videos is purely my knowledge over the last 12, 13 years being a retail investor into the market, and how I feel the market is going to behave. I do not have any licenses, and I do not, I'm not a member of the NSE or BSC. And so any companies or stocks that I discuss here, kindly do go through them yourself, do your own due diligence, and then invest or put money into those stocks or companies. The market, you can say, is laden with risk, and that there is huge risk attached. And remember that, look at how the market has collapsed from 20,200 over the last, in just one month it went down 6 7%. and over the last 1.5 months it's down even 5-6% from the top. There are stocks going down 20-30%. So these disclaimers do apply. Do your own analysis and then take a call. Do not follow anyone with respect to investments. Yes, do look at videos whichever you feel best, and then put up your own mind, get into the nitty gritty of things into those companies, and then put your money into place. Yes, investments into stock market, into equities will bring you the best returns over the last 15-20 years. We all know about it, but do your own due diligence before doing that. Before I talk about the indexes, here's small request that kindly support me on Patreon. Once you do that, helping grow the channel, help you also ask me questions and eke out answers in greater detail. Once you get the $10 membership, you'll have access to my portfolio, my watch list, which I'll start beginning with the watch list. I'll make better videos on YouTube, analysis on different companies. There'll be discussions on domestic and global markets and answers to your queries, whatever queries you'll be having. We'll have discussion on the sectors as well, which sectors are doing well, which one is not doing well, etc. We all discuss that on Patreon. You can support me there. All right, so before I begin the session with respect to the markets as a whole, that how the Nifty, the small cap index, etc., is behaving, I would just like to point out as to, because you cannot take your mind away from two things: the World Cup that is taking place here in India, as well as the war that is taking place in the Middle East. And the war in Middle East will have repercussions all over the globe, especially in the stock markets globally. So let me just take you to the screener website first of all. To say the small cap index and the Nifty. So we'll discuss all this, but the war that is taking place in the Middle East, what the repercussion of that is, that if that escalates, then all these indices, be it the small cap or the Nifty, it's not going to perform at its best or at its optimum. And this is the biggest reason why the FIIs and the DIIs have been net sellers in the market. We have seen they have sold something like 28,000 crore. I think if I take the figures out, let me just open up this thing so that you'll have an understanding as to how much they have sold over the last 2 months or so. So if I take that data out from money control, which I'm doing at the moment, you'll have an understanding as to there have been massive selling by FIIs and FIIs over the last couple of months or so. So if I take that out in October, so this is October 23, we had around 29,000 crore of selling by FIIs. In September, they sold something like 26,000 crores. So overall, they've ended up selling something like 55,000 crore. And even in August, there has been a net sell number. So from July onwards, the selling has begun. And although the small cap index had fallen just in the last month and a half, but FII selling has been unabated from end of July. And so all this, you can say, accumulates to around 75,000 crore of selling. That is huge. That is not less. And so whatever you can say mutual fund, and especially in the small cap and mid cap mutual funds, that the money has been coming in, that has been holding the market per se. And you have seen the Nifty go down 7%, but the small cap index has gone down barely 10%. So that doesn't happen a lot, but that is exactly what has happened. So here, what I did over the last 2 months, since I have been not been in the market and not been on YouTube, I have taken a back seat and looked at the market as a whole from a broader perspective. And what I've seen is that a global skirmishes or global problems like we had with Ukraine and Russia in February last year, and has just continued, and this time around, can have a deep impact and deep lasting impact on the momentum of the market. So if you look at the Nifty, today it is around 19,250, but from 20,200 it went to 18,800. It looked like it was heading towards 18,000 and below. So personally what I did was I exited positions around 19,500, 400, and actually I was waiting, and we had discussions on Patreon that I was waiting for 17,000, 17,500 levels, but things started to change. Now what could break this trend again? So right now what has happened in US, what has gone on is that in US the Fed has decided to not hike rates this time around. Probably they'll hike rates once, and that is what the US market is pricing in. So probably that is done and dusted, and that's why the market is moving up. That okay, even if we don't have a rate cut, we could have a probably a pause for a considerable period of time, and hence this market perceives that we are topping out on the interest rate cycle. That is what it seems like, and that is perhaps what will happen over the next 1 year, and probably 6 8 months down the line we'll have rate cuts. So that's why the market is pricing that in, and Dow Jones is going up and Nifty is going up. Nifty is back above 19,220, 230. We'll discuss about crucial levels here. But that's one part. Second part is the war in the Middle East. Now that is something that we have to be wary of, especially with the fact that the oil prices is directly linked to it, and oil is something of a very sensitive subject for India. So before I talk about the war and the issue and its direct impact on the market, is a request to all. I mean, I don't have many followers in here. I don't think many people watch my videos. I understand that there are very few viewers in here. But what I feel is that war doesn't help anyone, whether it is for any religion, any caste, culture, etc. I would say that there needs to be a complete ceasefire straight away. I'm not saying that because I'm invested in the market and I have a vested interest for that. I'm saying that because there are innocent children and you can say women across the borders, so whether it's in Israel or in Palestine, getting hurt by it, getting killed, getting probably they are getting devastated out there. So there needs to be a ceasefire immediately in there. There are issues, and we know about all the issues. We as a country here in India know about all these issues even more than anyone else. So we know about it, but we need to understand and probably live start to understand living peacefully in that manner. So that's my understanding of it. So that's one part. Now if this thing escalates in Middle East, then that is going to have a deep repercussion for the markets, because if the oil prices go to say $100 per barrel, or 200 sorry, $100 per barrel, $120 per barrel, and we have seen that happen in 2008. I mean in 7 8 we saw oil go, I mean, through the roof. I mean $140 per barrel or something like that. That will not be good for the market, especially emerging markets. And we could see Nifty go to even 17,000, 16,500. That's one part. Second thing is, on the positive note, if this thing do not escalate, and hopefully inshallah if this thing abates in the Middle East, we could see a situation where the market, because if you see the earnings right now, the earnings at the moment is around 950 rupees. If we say 20 times, the market is trading around 20, just over 20 times earnings. Normally, the market trades at around 19 times earnings also. So 18,000 is a base case scenario in here. But if things get better on the geopolitical situation on the global front, and oil prices do, you can say, recede and get to around $80, $85 per barrel. And next year, that's FY25, we are going to have earnings closer to 1,075 rupees or so. And based on that, if we say the market is buoyant with the elections, etc., and everything else, say 18 months down the line, I won't be surprised if the market is trading at 21 times earnings, uh, closer to 22,000, 22,500. So a range between 17,000 to 22,500 is possible. We are right in the middle of that range. Any dip towards 18,500 is a buying opportunity, in my opinion, in the market, in specific stocks that are performing well. Any move towards 22,000 is a huge selling opportunity that one can get into cash and probably wait for decline. So that's about the Nifty. As far as the or you can say the small cap index is concerned, right now it is around 37,600. Now this is interesting. When the market fall took place just recently, between early September till end of September or something like that, in those few days, if you see here from around 11th of September or so, we fell sharply for 2 weeks. We went to 37,000 levels or so, and then we went even further this time around towards 35,200. If you look at it, the 100 DMA is around 35,000, 200, 300. That's where we went to, and from there we have reversed. Now the critical level for the small cap index is 37,680, 37,700. And if you see here, the high today made was 37,640, just near that. I believe that over the next 1 week market, the small cap and mid cap index may just consolidate. Nifty may perform, but this index may not move up. But once 37,700 is taken out, then we'll see a huge move on the upside. So let's see when that happens. But I'm very positive on the market. I'm very positive on mid and small cap stocks. Not very small cap stocks, but larger mid caps, larger small caps, which are producing strong numbers, should end up performing. So as I mentioned, I have my portfolio set up, short term and long term portfolio. There are many mid caps and small caps in there. You can be a member and have a look at it. Second thing is that there are a number of companies that are coming out with strong numbers. So two of those, although these two companies that I'm going to discuss now are for long term, now you need to understand one thing. So one of those companies you might be looking at is Century Plyboard in that domain. Now understand one thing is that when you're talking of long term investment, you're talking of 3, 4, 5 years at least. And in that regard, you need to pick companies which have performed well, but for one reason or the other have declined over the recent past, over the last 2, 3 months, and is coming at very reasonable valuations. Yes, they are down. Yes, it looks like they'll continue to go down, but you know about the company, its you can say fundamentals, its stature, and you want to buy from a long term perspective. So when I talk about long term investments, and I'll come up with companies in here, those companies more or less in most of the occasions, on most of the occasions, they'll be down from the top, say 15, 20% down, 12, 15% down from the top, and coming at reasonable valuation. So one of them is Century Plyboards. In my opinion, around a 14,000 crore market cap company trading at less than 4 times earnings, current earnings, is one of the leaders, in fact the leaders in MDF and different types of plyboards. And the results have not been that great on the top and bottom line. So if you look at the June numbers, 900 crores or 890 crores or so versus in June of 890 crores, so it was a flattish kind of number on the sales front year on year. And on the operational front, on the you can say margins front, 16% margins have become 15%. But I believe that there were a number of reasons why June quarter has not been that great, because the rains came in early, and I would say September quarter will not be that great because of the monsoon season, but things should improve from the festive season onwards. So this is the time to buy. If you look at yearly performance of Century Plyboard since 2012, from around 16, 1700 crores, the sales number has jumped to around 3600 crores, and now there could be 1 year or 2 years where the numbers could stay the same. But this is a big play on the real estate front. This is a huge play on the infrastructure and real estate segment. And so if you believe in the Indian real estate story, if you believe in the Indian housing story, I think Century Plyboard is perhaps a company to play that story, an ancillary to the real estate space. And hopefully going forward, numbers should end up improving even further. If you look at their shareholding pattern, it's pretty strong. If you look at the September shareholding pattern, 73% promoter holding. You look at the FII holding, it hasn't dipped sharply from around 5.8% in March, it's at 5.6%. But DII holding over the years from around 11% in March of 22, DII holding has increased to around 14.5%. And public shareholding has continuously gone down from around 10% in 2021, 2020, late 21. It's now at 6.8%. What that tells you is that large investors are accumulating at lower levels whenever there is a 15-20% decline, and retail investors are leaving the stock. If you look at from a PE basis, the company is trading at very reasonable valuations at around 36 times. From a 3-year perspective, it used to trade at 39-40 times. From even from a 5-year average, it used to trade at around 36 times. It's at around 36 times. So it's right at the 5-year average. So it's not expensive at all. In fact, the margin of safety is pretty good in here. So that's the first stock. The second stock that I like is, interestingly, from the IT space. Now, IT is something that I would say from a shorter term point of view, people should avoid. I don't think IT is a space in which you can make a lot of money over the next 6 months while trading. Yes, there are mid cap IT companies that are doing well, but in larger mid caps on a holistic basis on the IT index, I don't think there's huge money to be made. But if you believe that the interest rates in the US is peaking out, and you think that things in US and Europe is going to get better from here, and I don't think it's going to get even any worse from these levels in terms of the economy, then I think you need to get into IT from a 3 to 5 years perspective. Now, Coforge is a larger mid-cap IT company that caters to a number of businesses and industries, and has come out with decent numbers. So let me just give you an idea of the numbers. So in September quarter, what they did was they did 20 to 80 crores of sales versus 1960. So that's a 16% increase on the sales front. On the margins front, yes, they dipped. I mean, from 17%, the margins have dipped to 15%. But if you look at it, over the last 3 quarters, from 14% in March, 14% in June, they have gone to 15%. So I think the margins are bottoming out for these companies, and that is why the stock hasn't fallen greatly over the last, you can say, 3 months or so, 3 6 months. If you see, uh, in fact, from a 6 months perspective, the stock has only gone up. So if you look at it, in August it was around 50 to 60. Today it's around 5100 or so, around 5100. It hasn't gone here much. There have been huge buying that has taken place around the 4900 5000 levels. If you look at it, huge volume in here on 24th of August. So there are large players getting into the stock, and so you need to get in. The highs have been around 6000. The stock is down around 15% from the top. If you look at from a PE basis, it's around 40 times. Yes, I know 40 42 times looks stretched, but you need to understand that the bottom line hasn't been that great. So market is pricing in better numbers going forward. Any dips of 5 to 7% from current levels towards 4800 is a very good buying opportunity. If you look at from a shareholding pattern, FIIs hold 34.5%. You have DIA, huge DIA holding. Look at the public shareholding from around 12%, 12.5%. It's gone down to 11%. And even if you see in public shareholding, there are large investors that are invested in the stock at the moment. So overall, I think Coforge is something of a contrarian bet from a 3 to 5 years perspective, that one can definitely have a look, or one can definitely look at in that respect. So those are things about the stocks. Now, one thing I want to just talk about, and this is completely deviant from the stock market, and that is about sports, about cricket. So currently, what is happening? Afghanistan is taking on Netherlands in the World Cup, and Netherlands are 8-1 at the moment. So tremendous performance by the Indian team. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. I believe that this is the best chance for the Indian cricket team to win the World Cup over a long period of time because of the fact that they are playing at home, they are playing so well, everybody is in form. You look at the bowlers, batsmen, etc. And if you look at the table, you'll have an understanding. India has won 7 on 7 comprehensively, apart from the match against New Zealand, in which we had some hiccups, but we won that. New Zealand, the form is dipping. We've seen that over the last three matches. So I feel this is going to be a tough fight between New Zealand, Pakistan, and Afghanistan for that fourth position. Let's see who gets that. But in Mumbai, we are going to have the semi-final because of the victory that we have had over Sri Lanka. I think India is going to top the group. That's what it seems like. Should beat Netherlands. So they're going to take on probably New Zealand. That's what it seems like in the semi-final at Wankhede. Should do well. South Africa should take on Australia. I think South Africa and Australia should qualify. This is going to be interesting. The match on Sunday, that's a day after tomorrow, would be very interesting. I believe the India South Africa match could be the precursor to the final or a curtain raiser to the final itself. I feel these two sides are primed to get into the final. South Africa with Rabada and Gidi, they're doing extremely well. They are getting bounce. And what is interesting here is that the fast bowlers of South Africa are skiddy in nature. So what happens is whenever they end up, you can say, performing, or whenever they end up performing under lights, what happens at that point of time is that they get a lot of skiddiness along with bounce. And when that happens, then you have a situation where they end up getting wickets because they have the you can say they have greater height. Their height is much better than other fast bowlers. So what ends up happening is that even under lights, although other teams do struggle because of dew and other factors and skiddiness of the pitch, these fast bowlers get more impetus because of the higher bounce because of the height, and that's why people struggle. So and that is where South Africa is beating other teams. That's what I feel because they are doing extremely well batting first, scoring big runs. And even if they score 300, 320, they'll be a very difficult side to beat because of the nature of the bounce that they produce in skiddy condition, in conditions of dew, under light. So it's going to be extremely interesting. India would may look to bat first and may look to score batting first and then probably ball second, but South Africa may look to bat first as well. So it's going to be very interesting on Sunday. I believe that these two sides are going to make it to the final. Second point in here is that India have beaten Pakistan fair and square, and being an ardent Indian fan over the last, you can say, decade, since 1988-89, I have been watching international cricket and have watched the golden eras of Pakistan cricket in the 90s with Wasim Wakar, Shoaib, and before that Imran Khan and everyone else that were there. And seeing India lose big time in Sharjah and in Tri-Series in Australia and other places, it gives me a lot of happiness seeing India beat Pakistan regularly on a regular basis across the board. Not in World Cups, but even if they play in other events as well. Yes, we lost in the Champions Trophy in 2017, the final, but since then we have been pretty good. And just on the pure basis of the fact that India is playing so well, I hope that there ends up being a tournament, quadrangular or something, in which India takes on Pakistan and beat them again, because uh, those who watched Indian cricket and who love Indian cricket over the last 20 years, 25 years, 30 years or so, and watching this video may align to what I'm saying at the moment, because we as 90s kids and watching cricket in the 90s have seen India lose to Pakistan a lot. So it gives me immense pleasure seeing that happen. And so I hope that continues. And hopefully going forward, India should end up performing even better. This side is looking extremely good. We are going to tour South Africa in December. Hopefully that goes well, and India should win a series in South Africa. Probably the first time they'll be winning a series in South Africa. This time around, it should happen. South Africa, as a test side, is not at its peak as it used to be, say 15 years back or so. So India has a very good chance, and Pakistan is going to tour Australia. So I would be looking forward to how Australia beat them there as well. Australia are, looking extremely strong. The way they have come back with Travis Head, etc. So we'll see that. So this is the video for today. Tomorrow I'll try to bring to you a small cap that I believe is going to perform well, or maybe on Sunday I'm going to come up with that. Thanks a lot for watching. Kindly do support me on Patreon and on WhatsApp, and you can be a member there as well. You can email me for that. You can be a member on YouTube as well. And do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you can get my video straight away when I post it. And kindly do support me on Patreon. Thank you.